Let's talk about warming up. Do you bother? Are you one of those runners who just heads straight out of the door and doesn't do any warming up at all? Maybe you just take your first mile as your warm up. Well, I wanted to explore this topic a little bit further because actually once I started to understand about warming up and what goes on in the body, it really made me change my habits because it really made me understand that actually I can get a lot more out of my run if I warm up. So I've written a blog post about this which you can read at drjulietmcgrattan.com, but I also thought I'd make a little video for you here as well. So let's have a think about this. Why do we need to bother warming up? Well, I think there are 6 areas of our body that need and will benefit from warming up. First of all, we have the cardiovascular system. So this is our heart and our blood vessels. When we're exercising, our body has to pump about 4 or 5 times more blood around our body than it normally would to bring oxygen to those muscles which are working really hard and to take away all the waste products that exercise is producing. So our heart needs to pump faster and stronger, and our blood vessels need to dilate, which means expand up a little bit to bring all the extra blood in. So when we're warming up, this is a chance for our body to go from resting to this active state. And if we can do a kind of gradually increasing exercise, maybe starting at a brisk walk up to a slow jog, and then throw in some kind of extra faster strides and short distances of running fast to really reactivate our cardiovascular system and get that heart pumping faster. Okay, the second area of the body that needs warming up is the lungs. Obviously, we get oxygen to our muscles through the air that we breathe. So when we're exercising, we're breathing much faster and we're breathing much deeper to get all that oxygen in and to also exhale all of that carbon dioxide, which is a waste product of exercise. Now, our lungs benefit from us gradually increasing our activity, particularly if we struggle with asthma and sometimes particularly on cold days as well. We've got muscles that activate and expand in our rib cage. We've got our muscle, our diaphragm as well. So we can warm up those muscles, then that will really help. So I sort of suggest that gradually increasing your activity like you do for the cardiovascular section, that will increase your respiratory rate as well. But also it's maybe worth just taking a moment or two to literally do some deep breaths and make sure you're breathing into your diaphragm, blowing out your belly and not breathing all up here in the top part of your lungs, really to expand your lungs fully. Area number 3 that needs warming up is your muscles. Now, this isn't just to get them warm and stop them from being pulled, which can obviously happen if you charge out of the door and run very quickly, but it's also because of something called the post-activation potentiation. Now, what that means is that once a muscle has contracted once, when you ask it to do so again, it will do it with more force. So if you can activate muscles during your warm-up, then when you run, you'll get more from them. I think this is particularly important when we think about our glute muscles, which are often lazy because of our sedentary lifestyle, and they need sort of firing up, if you like, and activating. And we can do that with some specific exercises in our warm-up, so they're then more helpful to us when we run. And our glutes are the biggest muscle in our body, so why should we waste their power when it's right there ready for us to use? Things that you can do for that would be things like squats and lunges, but I like to use a resistance band where you can do side leg raises and posterior leg raises and even squats with the resistance band on. Okay, that's number 3. So number 4 is our joints. Obviously, there's lots of different joints in our body. The ones particularly important for running are the ones that are in our lower limb. Now, within our joints, we have synovial fluid, and that's the grease to the engine, if you like. And when you exercise, it stimulates synovial fluid production. So you move around, you get more synovial fluid being produced, and that oils the joint, which makes it cushioned and makes it move more smoothly. So by actually doing some specific warm-up exercises such as arm swings, hip openers, we can actually increase synovial fluid, get that all pumping and oiling our joints before we set off on our run. Okay, number 5 is our nerves. You know, who actually thought you would need to warm your nerves up before you run? But you know, in our muscles, our joints, our tendons, there are neurons, nerve cells, which send information to our brain. They're telling our brain what position our body is in, how much tension something is under, how much something is activated. And our brain then returns messages and tells our joints, muscles, tendons, etc. what to do. Now, this is known as proprioception. Proprioception is the ability for the body to know what position it's actually in. Now, this is really important when it comes to being stable, when it comes to avoiding falling, when it comes to fine movements, coordination and balance, all of which we need as a runner. So if we can spend a few moments in our warm-up doing activities like standing on one leg, doing sideways movements and very small sort of activities, fast feet movements, then we'll actually be encouraging these nerve pathways between our brain and our muscles and our joints and tendons to activate. And once those are activated, then we're much less likely to stumble, to fall, and we'll just feel more stable and secure. The last one that we need to warm up, number 6, is our mind. Just taking a few moments to think about why you're going for this run or what you want to achieve from this run. Now, it may be, if it's a race or you're setting yourself a target, that you want a good performance, in which case positive thoughts, imagery, thinking of yourself succeeding and finishing can all really help to warm up your mind to help you get to your target. But it may just be as simple as trying to forget about the day that you've had, trying to put the stress aside and just taking a few moments to just be present and get ready to enjoy your run. So those are the 6 things that I think we'll really benefit from if we can warm up. And warm-up's particularly important if you're pregnant, if you have asthma, if you're running in cold weather, if you're returning from illness, but they can also help with simple niggles like runner's stitches and also the runner's trots. Gradually adjusting and letting our body adapt to going from a resting to an active state can help all of those things to be less likely, and can also obviously help us through our toxic 10, which is what I discussed in the last video. So I hope this is helpful in explaining why we should warm up and things to consider, and I will be going on to make a little video with the way that I warm up, just in case it's helpful for you to get some kind of idea as to how I put all those little bits into practice. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to have a look at my blog, drjuliettegrattan.com, and you can subscribe there to get emails about blogs coming directly into your inbox, so you don't need to go searching for all these little runners' tips. Thanks very much, everybody.